Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Urbana Arts and Culture Commission meeting on Tuesday, January 14th, 2025, starting at 4:30 p.m. The first item on the agenda today is a call to order and roll call.
Lori Fuller,
Present.
Alicia Rodriguez,
Present.
Sarah Buckman,
Present.
Barbara Headland, Abby Harris,
Present.
Hannah Andreessen,
Present.
Xander Hazel.
Here.
The next item on our agenda today is the approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Do we have any discussion or a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion to approve.
I second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion has passed. Thank you. Do we have any additions to the agenda today?
No additions.
Do we have any public input?
No public input.
Now, for our first presentation today, we have a grant presentation presented by CU Rock. Welcome.
Got it. Oh, look at that. Okay,
Mind
cool.
you, if you
Great,
can,
yeah.
Limit your presentation to around 10 minutes, please.
Yeah, no problem.
Great,
No
thank
worries. But yeah, my name is Carrie Chandler. I'm one of the board of directors, or on the board of directors for Girls Rock Champaign, Urbana. Explain to you a little bit about our organization if you're not familiar. We are a nonprofit that was founded here locally in 2016. We are part of an international alliance that has chapters through multiple areas of the world, which is awesome. So Champaign is a very small chapter, but we are very mighty. And we cater to the youth, so femme-identifying, gender non-conforming, transgender youth. And what we do is we use music as a means to empower and inspire creativity and positive self-image. So we host a variety of events throughout the year, our main event being our very popular summer camp, which is held at Parkland College every year. We also do open houses, we do little workshops, and we've recently started an after-school program. So very exciting. Our summer camp, this year was our 5th summer camp. We have grown from 11 children to 25, and we have a wait list that fills up quite quickly. So we are usually sold out for our camp with a very large wait list. This was our 5th camp this year, as I mentioned. 25 total campers this year, and we have a staff with both volunteers and paid staff of about 18 plus people. What we do during the summer camp is we place the campers in a band. They usually don't have any prior musical knowledge. We'll teach them how to play their instrument. We place them in a band, help them write a song of their own. They come up with a band name. They do the whole thing. They have a bunch of fun with it. But again, this is simply our means to empower them and to provide our mission. So music is just the medium. Throughout the camp, they complete many art projects that are usually geared towards giving things out at the showcase. So band merch, different expressions of creativity. We've had them do things like paint rocks, create tapestries, stuff like that before, but most of the time they're creating band merch to give out at the showcase. So the camp concludes with our popular showcase, which I'll talk about that in just a second. But this is what the camp leads up to. So the kids get very excited to perform this kind of concert in front of their friends, family, and community. And that is what we use the funding for the Urbana Arts Grant for this year. So the camp showcase is always the Saturday following the camp. As I mentioned, the campers perform what they've been working on all week for their friends and family and community. It's obviously open to the public. It is free to the public. It's all ages, very family friendly. We have a food truck. We've done vendors before. And as I mentioned, the campers give out handcrafted band merch, posters, and pictures with autographs and attendees. This is the 2nd year we've held it at the Rose Bowl Tavern, which has been a really great venue for us because of the size. So we can throw it on the patio. It's accessible to the public, again, free to the public, and it's been a blast. We usually have about 200 to 250 attendees. It's really hard to grab attendance at this event because there's so many people coming in and out, but we've had up to 300 before when the weather's nice. Usually the heat in the middle of July gets us. So this year we held it on July 27th, again at the Rose Bowl Tavern. We had 4 bands this year, but we did have a junior instructor, so there was 5 total performances. The party was started with DJ Silky, so she kicked off a dance party. I don't know if the sound will work, but oh, it does, great. Those campers getting all excited before their show at the Rose Bowl with DJ Silky. Did some line dancing, but we had a food truck. We had all their band merch, posters, and pictures gone. Everybody snatched them up. Those are free for them to give out, and they have a blast with that. So we had around 250 attendees again this year. Get to the next one. On the left is our poster this year. So you'll see at the bottom we included the Urbana Arts Grant verbiage and the logo. This was created by Jordan Tosh. We were able to pay her for her artistic services this year thanks to the grant. So that's really nice and helps us with our mission. And on the right is our annual pre-show selfie that we take with all the campers and a lot of the staff before the show. On the left-hand side is our banners this year. The grant helped us provide these banners. The blue ones you'll see on the backdrop, we have those. But to print out the sponsorship, people that sponsor the camp, that helped us with that. And then one of the bands getting ready for their show on the right-hand side there. So just some fun pictures. These were all taken by Veronica Mullen. We were also able to pay Veronica for her artistic services thanks to the grant. There's some of the band merch. You'll see their posters on the left-hand side there that they make from hand. And then this year they got to create t-shirts with real screen print ink. So that was very popular, very messy for the staff, but very popular for the students. And again, they were all gone. So band pictures, I'll introduce you to the bands this year. The left-hand side is our junior instructor, that's Essie. She's been with us since 2015, before the nonprofit was actually founded as a 501c3, so she's been with us for a very long time. The right-hand side is Power of the 6 Light Switches. Mind you, they come up with their own band names. And all of these pictures that Veronica took of their bands was all their artistic direction. So they kind of decide what they want to do. So we take these during the camp and then we print them out as posters for the children to give to people at the showcase. So this is the Bloody Rainbows. This was our emo band. Very, very emo. This was the Neons, our youngest band, and they are adorable. And my personal favorite, the Tragic Little Unicorns. My personal favorite. So, well, I know. I don't know where they found it. We had people give us a bunch of donations for musical instruments, and it's kind of wild, the things that people find to give us. So, we were also able to employ professional videography this year, which was huge. So what this gives is the parents a memento that they can keep from this. We don't have this public on YouTube per the parents ask, which is fair, but this is a private link that the parents can access and the students so they can come back and watch. So I'll show you a little bit of James's work. This is the Neons.
I'm the vocalist Nola, Neon Pink. And Neon Blue is Marco. Playing the keys.
I'll get through the introductions here because she likes to do this thing.
We have Mila, Neon Orange, playing the ukulele. Woo! And we have Isabel playing the ukulele, Neon Yellow. And the song we're playing is called The Girl in the Rose.
And they wrote this song.
When the girl grew up, the rose grew up. When the girl grew up,
I'm happy to show you more of this video later, but for time's sake, I won't show you the full thing. But we got,
Where's the neon?
oops, next slide.
I'm the vocalist Nola, Neon Pink.
There we go. But we got one for each of the bands. So each of the bands has their own little video that they got to take and show their parents. They were very excited to see the video because that's the first thing that we've had this year. So being able to employ James for that was very helpful. And I mentioned all thanks to the Urbana Arts Grant. So I just listed the things that we were able to do this year that is new for Girls Rock, especially with the showcase. This allowed us to purchase the art supplies for better crafting ideas for their band merch. So we were able to purchase the screen printing stuff, more t-shirts for them to print because we usually go through those quite quick. They created zines, posters, buttons, and as I mentioned, the pictures that they took. We were able to provide fair compensation for the DJ this year for her time. We were able to provide compensation for the first time ever to our instructors for their mandatory time on Saturday. Historically, we have not had the funding to pay them to be there for their time, and that's a huge part of our mission that we're supporting artists monetarily as well. So we were able to provide compensation for the first time this year. We were able to pay the artist that created the showcase poster, as I mentioned. We were able to pay both the sound engineer and production assistant for the first time ever as well. That has been a volunteer and is also a tall ask when we're changing over that many bands. We were able to double our promotion budget for Facebook ads, posters, and handouts. We were able to employ professional videography for Wave Upon Wave. So I just have a video quickly of them making their band merch during the camp. This was with their t-shirts and their screen printing. There we go. So challenges and improvements, I just wanted to note a couple things that we are wanting to improve on and learn on. Unfortunately, ran into a snag this year with promotion that we put out a pretty large promo ad on Facebook and Meta. And unfortunately, because of our mission, we received a lot of hate speech on that ad, which was really scary because we're a youth organization and to get those things. So what happened is Meta blocked that ad and they did not refund our money. So we fought it as much as we could to try to get that ad back out there, but they said that for the safety of Girls Rock, they canceled that ad. So that was really disappointing. But again, we still had a great turnout. But I think with more promotion, we could have gotten more community involvement. Our goal is always to get the community involved in what we do and there to support. So outside of parents, friends, family, that sort of thing, we would love to have more community attendance at these things. The other thing I wanted to mention is heat and rain plan. Luckily, knock on wood, we haven't run into this issue yet. We love the Rose Bowl Tavern as a venue because of the accessibility and the inclusivity. However, if we do, because we are growing and this event keeps growing, the inside of the Rose Bowl Tavern is much smaller than the outside when the patio's there. So if we do have to put it inside for some reason, the Rose Bowl is pretty much going to be bursting at the seams. So we might have to find a new venue at some point in time, but we're trying to stick with that as long as we possibly can. Oops. All right, and then that's our end of camp picture with all the staff and the campers and the board of directors on there. So we just want to thank the Urbana Arts and Culture Program for all that you are doing for the arts in this community, and we greatly appreciate it. I'm happy to open it up to any questions if anybody has anything for me. Great, thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
A lot of work to pull all that together. Did the girls make any comments about what they wanted more of or less of next year?
Not really.
Good. Then you're doing your job well.
What's that?
Then you're doing your job well.
Thank you. Yeah, they have a blast during camp. By the time Saturday comes, they are super tired. Incredibly excited to show their family and friends all the stuff they've been working on.
Yeah, I've been to part of it, yeah.
Hot and sweaty, but very fun at the end of the day. So.
I've run youth camps, and music youth camps in other places, but so I know what you go through. But
Sorry. Yeah, we're growing, and we started the after-school program, so we anticipate that the camp is going to be quite large this year, and we wish we could offer more than 25 spots, but it's a lot of kids to handle as it is, and that's a lot of staff to pay. So as we continue to seek out more funding for the organization as we grow, opening it up to maybe a couple summer camps to be more accessible for different populations of children would be great. But right now we are stuck with the means in which we have.
Do a lot of kids continue after the camp and
Yeah.
like just continue with their like through private lessons or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. So certain people in our staff teach private lessons, and that is always a large ask from the parents following camp, is to find women or femme-identifying or transgender instructors that they feel comfortable with, their kid going to lessons. So a lot of them seek out instruction afterwards. And then what was the first part of your question? I'm sorry.
I wish they just continued.
Oh, yeah. About 50% of our camp is repeat campers.
Nice.
And honestly, the reason for that is there would be more, but because our registration is first come, first serve, sometimes our veterans get beat out by parents that sign up sooner. So we have to make it fair. We always open it to a wait list and try to get as many kids in as possible. But yeah, because of that, we can't always have the same campers come in because we'd probably have the same 25 campers for years straight. So got to be fair.
An all-day program?
What's that?
Is it an all-day program?
Yeah, they are Monday through Friday at Parkland College from 8 to 4 p.m.
Can't have two sessions on one day, like a morning session and an afternoon session.
Right now, the curriculum is set up so that half of the day they are working on empowerment activities. So a lot of times that will manifest itself in songwriting. So they'll work through different emotions and feelings and different conversations through songwriting. And then the other half of the day, they're actually learning the instruments. They're in band instruction, they're in private instruction, and meeting with their band coaches and band managers to kind of come up with a plan for the week. So right now, the way the curriculum stands, we have it pretty packed within a week, but that would be great if we could somehow open that up to have rotating sessions for sure. Yeah.
Have any of the bands stayed together?
Yes, they have. And that's what, we just got a brick and mortar in downtown Champaign. And so with the after-school program, we've kind of continued these bands going, and they've continued to write songs and work together. And some of them have started playing outside of the after-school program even. So it's pretty cool to see. Yeah.
I was just going to ask, so the kids go to your brick and mortar place for the after-school program?
Yes.
It's not in individual schools?
Nope.
No, okay.
So we opened our first session in the fall this year. We did a 6-week session, and we had 12 campers that returned, and they were all returning kids from the camp. So no new ones.
And have you had any collaborations with other girls' rock groups in Illinois, for example?
We talk to the organization in Carbondale quite a bit. Honestly, between Chicago, Champaign, and Carbondale, that are the only Illinois chapters. So Bloomington doesn't have one, Peoria doesn't have one. Us and Carbondale are the farthest south from Chicago. But we keep in touch with the Chicago ones because they have quite a few resources for us. And the Girls Rock Alliance shares a bunch of resources throughout all of the chapters. So if you have a question or need some guidance on how to deal with something or improve something, the Alliance has tons of resources that you can reach out to, and they host an annual conference every year for all the chapters to come together and meet. Yeah, pretty cool.
I was just gonna, you probably have thought about the IMC in case there are some,
Yeah.
growth, if there's growth that exceeds Rose Bowl's capacity, but that's always a good spot for arts grants, but.
Yeah, our first 2 years, the camp was held at the IMC, actually.
Okay.
But we outgrew the IMC because we needed more space, so we had to move it to Parkland College, so we had more rooms and more space for all of the campers. But we also loved our time at the IMC, and I wish that it was bigger because it was just kind of perfect for the space that we needed. So, yeah, we keep looking for other venues. Our relationship with Parkland College has been awesome because they offer it through their College for Kids program. But they do take a cut of our money in registration, which is, that's always a downside. But Parkland's really accommodating. It's accessible with bus routes and things like that, which is important because we do have campers that will take public transportation to and from. So continuing to look at other places that are accessible for us for the camp is important. Right now, it's working with Parkland College, but, you know, if we can find somewhere that doesn't have those certain restrictions, that would be awesome. If you have any ideas, let us know.
District 116 been of any help? Have you approached District 116?
No, it's been really difficult for us to get into the schools. When we were outgrowing IMC, we did reach out to the public schools, and they, for the most part, were like, no, we can't really open up the public school for you for the summer camp. But other Girls Rock chapters do use public schools, so that's kind of why we reached out. But yeah, 116 was difficult to establish that relationship with. Yeah. But that was a few years ago, so it's always worth trying again. But yeah. Any other questions for me? No problem. Thank you. Appreciate it.
A great job. It's
Thank
so
you.
nice to see all the videos, and just you can really tell how great the experience is. And I know that there's been a desire over the years to have more programming for middle school and for kids, and so it's so great to see all the work that you guys are doing, and
Yeah.
excited about the brick and mortar
Yeah,
and
thank
after
you so
school
much.
programs. The only other thing I was thinking is I wonder if the Cranert would be potentially an opportunity for
Ooh.
space, or I don't know if they're particular about usage, but you know, the different auditoriums could be a potential.
Yeah, that's a great thought too.
Have so many of those summer months booked for their own music camps.
Yeah. Yeah, and Cranert's schedule is usually pretty packed. I know they do the thing where they kind of sit down and try to divvy out dates for everybody. But that's definitely something worth looking into, I think. To try to consolidate everything to maybe one part of town would be nice.
Even the Urbana Methodist Church here, you know, they have this whole underground with another auditorium, and they have lots of spaces, and they're always trying to have people come into the church. They used to have the campus middle school for girls there.
Nice.
I
Yeah,
don't
we had
know.
checked out the Unitarian Church at one point in time to see if they could host in their basement, and I think that was still too small
Yeah, I don't think so.
at that time, but the Methodist is also a good option.
Like in a whole underground city there. You need to go talk to Pastor Bob.
Okay, noted. I appreciate that. Well, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah,
Coming.
thank you. Bye now before I forget here.
Microphone on,
Okay,
because it's going to be used in just a second.
okay, sounds great. Well, y'all have a great rest of the afternoon. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming. Next, we have a staff report by our fearless leader.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So, as promised, the Urbana Night Market video is right here, and I wanted to start with that. Let's see if I can get the sound going on here. Loud.
A good turnout because it was so cold. Have a good turnout.
This was the
Earlier?
night market that happened in September
Oh, okay.
and beginning of October, but we had a professional videographer come and do some filming, and then she compiled this video, which is pretty awesome. All right, let's see how the volume is.
I heard about the night market. I heard it's a really nice time, and today the weather is good, so I figured it's the perfect time to be out here.
It's great that we have the opportunity as vendors to come out and interact with just a different group from the morning. It's got a great feel.
I'm a really big fan of like arts and crafts things, so I decided to come check it out. I like food, so I saw the sweets and I was like, oh, locked in, you know.
So one day we were kind of just walking and we stumbled across this market and we thought it was such a cool community and there were so many local artists and sellers. So I decided to try to sell some of the art that I created.
It's nice to have something local I can do on Thursdays. And it's just such a fun community atmosphere out here.
It isn't so much of a market for me as it is more of a music festival.
Oh, I love painting to the music and being kind of like inspired by the music. Like not just the environment, but like also like the ambiance.
It's a chance for the community to just come and hang out. It's a free event. I love markets. Just the vibe and all of it.
Yeah, I thought she did a really good job. That was Veronica Mullen, who Carrie was just talking about, does really amazing photography and film. But yeah, so we'll be kind of discussing whether or not we're going to be continuing that. It was really successful, but I just wanted to show you that video because it was pretty awesome.
If you did continue to do it, you could use that as some of the advertisements for next year, you know?
Yeah, which would be great.
On the city website?
I think that once things kind of get okayed and whatnot, we'll probably use it for the city website. It'll go on UPTB and, you know, hopefully get played on social media and possibly other outlets. So, yeah. All right. Here's a staff report for this month. I just wanted to start with programming. Poet Laureate cycle is open. Sarah and I met today. Sarah, do you have any updates you want to share?
Yeah, we'll be firming up a jury. If any of you, we need one more commissioner to be on the jury. So if there's anybody that's really interested in being on it, feel free to reach out to me. And we are looking for more applicants. So if there's anybody that you know that you think would be great applying for this, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to them individually, encouraging them to apply. I think that that's been really successful in the past. And anybody listening, please put in your application. We would love to have all applications in by February 1st.
Is there an age limit or age range?
I believe
that we're looking
18 and older. Or 21 and older. I think we'll double check, but it's either, I think it might be 21 and older.
21 and older.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the guidelines in the application and more information can be found on the new city website, which is urbanail.gov. Under the arts and culture section, there's a Poet Laureate tab, so it has all the information on there. And I think that Sarah and I are also going to try to get Ruby, who is our current Poet Laureate, to sort of come in possibly during our March meeting to sort of do like a wrap up so she can talk to us about her time as the Poet Laureate for 2024. So, continuing on with amazing opportunities, the Urbana Arts Grants cycle will be coming up. We sort of solidified some dates, and the window will be for applications will be March 1st through the 31st, and we have some workshops already scheduled, so we'll be sharing more about that. This is kind of just like a way for people to kind of mark their calendars ahead of time to know when those grants are going to be open. Just some information. there's going to be a little bit of a different setup with the grants. So we'll be having tier 1 and 2 grants, and there will not be a tier 3 grant this coming year. The larger festivals will be applying in a different way. So this is really exciting because we're going to have $90,000 for tier 1 and 2 versus $90,000 for all 3 tiers. So this is pretty exciting. So I have some flyers at the front. So if you all would like to take a couple and put them places in your office, if there's other people who traffic that area, or if you see a community bulletin board somewhere in a coffee shop, just tack it up. That would be awesome. And yeah, so looking forward to that. I will also be looking for jurors, and with the commission, it's super complicated to have more than 2 jurors. So if there is anyone who would like to do it, I know that we have new commissioners who maybe haven't done it last year. If you're interested in being a juror, it basically involves going through all the applications and scoring them. So it is a time commitment for sure, but I think it's pretty interesting to see all the different proposals that come in, and being able to just see what ideas people are coming up with.
It's all online.
And it's all online. All right, so there is a new exhibit that is being featured for the Artists of the Corridor, which is here at City Hall and then also at the Urbana Free Library. And it is the Urbana Free Library's Artist in Residence program, which was a grant that they received from us for this past cycle. And it's called What's Your Story? They have 3 artists who are being featured: Curtis Chung, Nika Lux, and Huan Yen. So you can see their work here at City Hall and then also at the library. And I think that they're going to be having an opening reception in late February at the library. So that'll be something I can share more information on. And here we are. This is, the next thing is the utility box mural selection. So you all were able to select and kind of rank the 10 different art pieces. And so what I have here are the top 4 choices that you all selected. So the first choice, and when I say first through 4th, it's not like this was the highest scoring one. This is just like the top 4 selected. So Red Eye Tree Frog and Tree Frog by Beth Darling. The Source Wall, Loretta's Porch by Huey Metropolis. Droop and Radiation by Zoya Cruzawu. A Problem of Induction by Lark Moreno. And so those are the 4 art pieces. And then for the locations, it's not like completely solidified as to which location we're gonna be selecting for which. This is gonna require more conversations with like property owners that are nearby. So I think that the selection of what art goes where is probably gonna be something that we'll have to figure out along the way. But here are some of the options that we're looking at. Outside of Cafe Paradiso on Lincoln and Nevada is one of our top choices. Lincoln and Florida outside of, or near the Vet Med sign on the edge of campus. Main and Broadway, which is across from the parking garage in downtown Urbana, which is outside of Heel to Toe. And then Windsor and Race, and this is kind of like across Clark Lindsay and kind of getting closer to Meadowbrook. So those are the 4 locations that we think that we're working with, and pretty excited to see those go up. And that will be something that is installed in the summer as soon as there's warm weather, and we'll be really happy to see those go up. So that's 4 new ones, and we haven't had utility boxes installed, I think, since 2021. So yeah, pretty exciting. And the last thing I have for the staff report is just that the Lunar New Year festival is happening in February, at the very beginning of February, and there's a lot of partners who are going to be contributing to this, Urbana Arts and Culture being one of them. Last year, there was a really large celebration that the Park District sort of did at the Phillips Rec Center, where they kind of brought everyone to the rec center to do a really exciting, like, one-day event. And I think this year it was too small of a space from what I've gathered, so they're sort of spreading out the festivities. So Arts and Culture will be helping out with Craft Happy Hour at the library on February 5th. And then on the 8th of February will be Postmark, which 40 North runs with us. And it'll be from 12 to 4 at Gallery Art Bar. And then there's going to be another performance from Kuroshio at Gallery Art Bar that's in partnership with Urbana Arts and Culture as well. So it'll be a really fun, festive time. And I think that the Fusion Fest that's happening on the 2nd is at Krannert Center, and I believe there are tickets, but I believe most other events are going to be free and open to the public.
The February 2nd program they have at Krannert involves the youth orchestra and a solo pianist who's playing the Yellow River Concerto, which coincidentally was a piece I heard premiered in Philadelphia when I was a student.
Oh, wow.
Just a few years ago.
Who's doing that?
Zhao Feng.
Okay.
Concert pianist in the community. His son's a very talented cellist, and he has another son who's a pianist and a violinist.
Awesome. Cool. Does anyone else have any events or any opportunities they want to share? It's kind of a slower season since it's the middle of winter.
I have something to share, but it'll be for March, so I'll wait.
Okay.
I know the library is starting to sponsor some new programs this semester, various programs in downstairs and upstairs in the main library.
Great. Well, that's pretty much it for now. And we can move on to discussion topics. And I just wanted to start off with our first discussion topic. It's the Urbana Arts Grants presentation requirement that we've had. In the past, it's been the final reporting has kind of changed in the past 5 years. It went from reports being just all of your receipts and a written document or an oral presentation to now we have a Neighborly platform, and that sort of portal can be used to apply and do final reporting. So grantees will apply, receive the grant, and then do the reporting on Neighborly, and they're uploading all of their documents, all their photos, any video, all of their receipts, demographic information on their events, and it's been an additional requirement to come here and kind of give the same exact information, but in a presentation in person for the commission. And as I sent that email to you all with some of these points, but it's been really hard on some people. Our meetings start earlier than a lot of people get off of work. People will move away from Urbana, or they work, they have work that takes them away, and essentially them being able to present in person has become a barrier to people being able to sort of wrap up their projects and get their second half of the payment or their full payment in a timeline that I think is more conducive to people getting money when they need to, like the funding, and then also it becomes a little bit labor intensive for staff to have to kind of keep tabs on people because they're unable to make it to the meeting for whatever reason. So I am sort of giving a recommendation that we no longer require the in-person presentations, although they are really wonderful when it works out perfectly fine. I think that it's something that we should remove as a requirement. Another idea that was given to me was maybe there's two meetings that are exclusively quick pace presentations that only last like 2 minutes or something like that. But again, it's a burden for the grantees at times to come in here.
What about another idea would be, since they put a lot of this information already in Neighborly, is it possible for all of the grantees to maybe do no more than like a 8-page, PowerPoint that can be shared with you, and it can be shared with us whenever we want to see it, or something like to that effect? Because the PowerPoints are really quite nice. If it doesn't take, but it doesn't have to be really elaborate, 5 to 8 page, whatever it might be, so that information can be condensed into one document, but without the need to present it to us here in the commission.
I do think that sharing the presentation information is very important, especially if those who are interested in applying again for an additional grant. And I feel like, I like your idea of somehow sharing the PowerPoint if they're not able to attend in person.
Okay.
I think so too. I mean, I enjoy them personally, but we do have a responsibility because we're using public tax dollars for this, and we have a responsibility to our community to show how this money was being used. And this is one of the ways that we are able to justify it. So if there's some way we can do both, I think it's important. And they have to understand from the beginning then that this is part of what they agree to if they accept the funds.
Yeah, it could be that, maybe we have an option, like it's optional to show up in person, but we could provide a template PowerPoint that still gets added into the public record in terms of like when we're meeting, if they're not here to present it, they fill out a template that can still get presented and everyone can see it. I agree with what Barbara said, is that I think there's some accountability that's needed. And I know also that we had issues last year going through the grants that some applicants weren't taking serious. It didn't feel like some were taking serious the reporting, and that maybe they weren't collecting data on demographics and they just really weren't reporting out the information that we were looking for. And again, I think sort of having someone in the public speaking to it would be helpful.
Well, we've allowed candidates over the years who received grants, if they had moved away or they couldn't come that day, we've always accommodated them with a Zoom call or a phone call, and they were able to send the video in advance and then talk to the committee over the phone.
Yeah, the Zoom is not technically permissible for some reason at this time. And then the phone calls, I personally feel like it's a little bit of a burden I know it's a burden for the grantees who are doing it over the phone, but then also to have staff be the one presenting the slides while we can like kind of barely hear what the person's saying. But I think another suggestion that someone mentioned to me was Tier 1, which does not require any match funds, and like Tier 2 having like different ranges of funding, maybe having different requirements that are more or less like stringent, I guess. And in Tier 3 from past years, definitely like doing presentations and whatnot. But I'm wondering if there were PowerPoints that were required, because they're supposed to upload documents on their final report. Would you as the commission review those documents on your own time to witness, or are you thinking that it being recorded, like UPTV having a recording of a presentation is what is important.
Justify all the expenses and know how they were spent. Now, no matter what we figure out, we have to be, really recognize that has to be done. I think it's by law, we have to. We have to find a way to make it all work.
Because, like, just before this meeting, this is just an idea, I was thinking about all the video clips that we've gotten from grantees in the past who, you know, it's an entire concert that they've recorded. It's a 20-minute video, but having like a compilation video of all the grants that had happened in one cycle to be able to showcase on UPTV, possibly.
And maybe also like on the Urbana Arts and Culture Arts Grant page, and I know in the past they had like a document of all of the awardees, and I know that some of the participants that I've talked to were like, where can I get, you know, ideas of what's been approved before? I always send them to that page, so that might be a good place too, to also showcase the videos and the PowerPoints that went with the awarded grants.
Yeah.
One opinion I have is I like knowing what I've participated in some of the jury, so it's exciting to know the different projects that happen, and then also see the reports and the people with those associated organizations. But I think that overall, I've seen us have to put discussion on pause because of the delays of having so many presentations happening. I wonder, personally, I think that for them not to be able to get their half of their funds because we have so many presentations that we're scheduling that we don't have room in the meeting for them to give a presentation. I think it would be better to not require the presentation, but like, would there be an opportunity for like once a year to have some sort of like celebratory event celebrating all of the projects that were funded, kind of, and give people opportunity at that celebration to have highlights or share. I don't know if that makes a whole other labor of making another event, but I wonder if it would be a more publicized, more well-attended space where people could hear impacts about the grants, because we're, as a commission, not really reviewing the financial results of the report. That's up to the staff, right? So I don't know if a PowerPoint would be, in my opinion, if having them not be giving a presentation and send a PowerPoint, but if we're trying to figure out some ways to catalog existing or past granted projects, I can understand that, but I don't know if having, I don't know, I am for like not making presentations required for the funding.
Special occasions like the ACE Awards, and then they have a special evening where everyone gathers, all the awardees are gathered, and then they have a way of helping publicize the event too, and maybe reach out to more attendee or applicants.
We do a sneak peek event, which happens before,
Right.
and it's very celebratory, but I mean,
it's on a smaller scale though, it has been in the past.
yeah, I mean, it's been in the summer because it's close to when it starts. So people are busy, people are out of town. Like, tons of grantees were out of town this year, but it was still a good turnout. But if there was something that happened towards the end of the cycle, that would be, you know, like things have already finished, people could show what they've done, but there's always people who have not finished their projects or started their projects by the time the cycle's over. So that's kind of, I think that the overlap of multiple cycles happening at once, like one starting while the other one's still going on, it's
Probably challenging for you, isn't it?
it's challenging, but there have been multiple occasions where I have to bump people, you know, a month or 2 months later in a commission meeting because the roster, like the agenda's already full, or our date doesn't really work for them. Of course, we could do special meetings to have like an additional meeting that's outside of our regular monthly, and that could be like a showcase or like okay, everyone from that cycle presents for 5 minutes, and you're only allowed like 3 slides or something like that. But I think that we need to kind of look at what the benefits are when there might be some serious burdens or barriers, because I think that it's, I said this to someone else in a meeting, but if you're someone who doesn't have like that one last receipt you're supposed to give for your taxes, then oops, you missed doing your taxes on accident because you have been trying to get that one final thing to kind of add to your reporting. And I think that that definitely is kind of been these presentations. And all the different technological levels of, or comfortability that people have with being tech savvy or not has also been an issue that I've had to help grantees with, which can be a lot of time because, yeah, it can be tough.
Are there places you can refer them to get help like that? Are there resources they could investigate?
We've been pretty lenient in the past. Like there have been presenters who don't have slideshows at all, who don't have PowerPoints. For instance, I think Bread and Puppet for the past couple years has presented without slideshows and just did like an oral presentation and had handouts, which has been allowed. But yeah, so that's one thing that has helped, I think.
Have the option of, do we always have to follow this agenda? Every week, every month, every meeting, every month? Or is there one, for example, you were talking about maybe one exclusive meeting dedicated only to that?
I create this agenda based on like needs or scheduling and things like that. So if we wanted to say June's agenda is like all grantee presentations, we could do that.
Would that be of any help?
I think that would be a way to get around it. I think that it would just be, as a requirement, it would be tough because we would get so many people who are like, I can't make it. Or no one in my organization can make it either. What it also does is it puts all of the payments that have to be done all at once, which is a lot of administrative work too. So it's, yeah, I don't know what the easiest answer is, but I think that I would say that easing up on requirements would probably be the most beneficial thing to the program and the meetings that we have.
Just a point of clarification. So the presentation, them coming here, they don't get the remaining amount of money until they do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that I'm fine with that. I think my point is, and it sounds like others sort of share this, is that we want to see some type of report out, even if they don't have to come here. Am I sort of right in that? So I'm fine. I mean, if you're looking at what they're doing, if there is something that you're saying, okay, I approve and sign off on that, I think that's fine. I don't think they need to come here in order to get the rest of the money that was granted to them. But I do think that the commission should probably see some type of report. Otherwise, we're just not going to know what is happening. Like, if we're not going to every single event, for example, then we're not going to know And how are we supposed to assess the economic and community impact that these things have? So I don't know if there's like a one-pager that can be included in the packet that comes from their neighborly report or some type of summary that way, or that they're providing with, you know, upwards of 4 photos or a video or something like that, and it can just be slipped into the commission agenda that we could discuss. I don't know if that's an option, but I agree that I don't think a PowerPoint presentation and them showing up in person should be a requirement if they're filling out the rest of the paperwork.
So what if, unless someone wanted to say anything, I just had an idea.
I just had one other idea, is if you do want to do presentations, have 2 different days, you know? Because if people, like you said before, some people would have difficulty going on that one day. So if the option is, if they do want to do the presentation to the commission, there are 2 possible dates in the year that could be done.
Yeah, I think that if the requirement to get the funding maybe is tied to their actual report that's being done, so as soon as they're done with the actual work, they get their funding. That sounds, I mean, to me, that makes sense. And then having sort of this more community showcasing sort of couple of dates that is closer to the end of the cycle.
I think that sounds good, but I agree that they should submit something, like even if it's a PowerPoint slide deck that they would present to us if they could make it.
So they submit, every single person who has an application, they submit their final report, and their final report consists of like all the demographic information, all of the narrative, there's questions that are being answered about narrative, like what happened, how did it go, all of that, all of their receipts, and then documents section, which is like any supporting documents. It could be flyers or advertisements, videos of performances, photos. Some people do add PowerPoints, and those kind of sit in like their final report. So most people have that.
In a short enough form that we could review it quickly to say, oh, these are the ones that cleared, that finished this month.
As of right now, they're just putting everything that they've documented so that they can have as much information to show as they can. And then what's been brought to us is like this whittled down version that's kind of clean cut. But perhaps that requirement on the report is what's different. But as of like right now, the jurors and myself are the ones who can see it on Neighborly. So unless everyone wanted to get on Neighborly and see those, it would either be commissioners going on Neighborly to look at those reports, or I just download their slides, for instance, and then you guys would just periodically be able to view them. Of course, it wouldn't make much sense for me to download those and then me click through the slides in a meeting like this. So
access to the site would be okay, but I think we need to have at least a bare minimum of things that they need to be responsible for. We can figure out what that is and how to format it.
And so I guess my question to you all is, people are getting the grant and they're doing it. The community that goes to their events are seeing it. The advertisements that are out and people who see those are seeing it. And staff is seeing everything that they're doing. So I think that what's missing is anyone that's here who doesn't go to the event, doesn't see the pictures on their Facebook page, and doesn't see what's on their Neighborly account. Do you think that the commission, like not being able to see all 27 grants, projects wrapped up is the issue? Like, do you think that you all need to see it, or do you think that it's the public that needs to see it? Because I could we could try to figure something out with like UPTV so that it's like if there are videos, those occasional sort of music performances that people want to share, it's going out on social media and our UPTV so that everyone's seeing it.
A lot of people do social media to promote
Because
their events.
our meetings are not very well viewed, to say the least.
Does the city council, do we have any, check upstairs, so to speak, with any requirements that we need to follow that we're not aware of?
I mean, what I've been advised from my supervisors is to just make a decision, like as a staff. So I'm getting kind of guidance from you all. I have ideas on the matter just based on all the stuff that I have to do and just working with grantees on a daily basis. But I very much see the value in a grantee being able to present and have that sort of show and tell moment. It just has bitten a lot of other grantees in the behind because they haven't been able to, show up for whatever reason. So that can be kind of hard.
I think it should still be strongly encouraged, but yes, I do wonder if there is some requirement where, at the very least, it's this month, these were the 3 that I closed, and it's just on the record. I don't know if that's a requirement.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. It's like you have your contracts with everybody, right? And then say, the month of March, here are all the ones that were closed. This is the amount that the staff, like the amount of money that was dispersed. This was how much was initially asked for, but actually went out. Here are the events and maybe a handful of photos. And just do that on a monthly basis, and it just be a permanent agenda item in your staff report.
That's a great idea. As events happen every month, it could be like a reflection in the staff report.
I think that'd be great. And then come into the fiscal year, because you have grantees that don't finish, right? So they don't get the second half, maybe not even the entire amount, like the first half either. So I think that would be valuable information for us to know. And then, maybe in the July meeting, we can say, this is all the amount that went out for those grants in the last fiscal year. These were the ones that didn't finish. This is what was actually dispersed. Something like that.
I think that'd be
Advise
great.
them to be responsible too if they're accepting this grant.
Well, sorry, what was
I
that?
think we need to incentivize them to, if they're accepting the grant, they make the application and they accept it, that this is just part of their responsibility as part of the package. They have to do a minimum of whatever we decide is necessary.
Yeah. I really like the sort of being able to share with you all grantees that are completing events as they're happening. A lot of events will happen like throughout the whole year, or like it's a workshop series or something, but it could be a good way to showcase what's going on while also keeping it kind of like concise.
Publicize all the wonderful things in Urbana.
Yeah. The grants can be so different too. Like they're so different from each other. Like one-off culinary class versus Urbana Pops Orchestra, having it kind of spread out throughout a semester of a school year. But yeah. So
I also really like what Xander had mentioned, and Anna, is about listing every meeting having a list of the grant reports, the final grant reports that you've gotten from the organizations, and also maybe each month if you're hearing of situations with grantees that they're not fulfilling their grant report in time. I think that would be also something that we should be taking into consideration in terms of like accountability, making sure that before the new grant cycle happens, that anybody that hasn't finished the report is not going to be granted more funds, because I know that that's been an issue in the past where we didn't have any kind of policies on not granting more money to someone that failed to utilize the funds from a previous grant. So maybe there'd be ways for us to communicate about if there's any support that you need policy-wise on people that are not fulfilling grants or misusing of grant funds, or getting a little too hairy, but requesting the funds back, that kind of thing, where, you know, they get a portion, they get half if they don't use the funds during a certain period of time, then now they're defaulting on the grant. So figuring out how we can, what do you guys think about that?
It makes a lot of work for you to monitor all the time, but
I'm always doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? That's like all I'm doing is monitoring all these grants that are at different stages of being done or not so done.
must have a giant spreadsheet, right?
Oh, gosh. Oh, yes, I do. But I'm really liking the idea of a grant update portion of the report that may be more or less detailed with something. I think last year, like kind of when I was first getting going with staff reports, I did a lot of event. This is an event. This is an event for this grant. You all, this side of the room probably remembers that more. And then it gets a little bit, like people might not get you their flyer until the event's over, actually. So, and I have been trying to send out events to the jury from this past year and the commission for like upcoming events. So I can continue doing that because I think that's a great way for you guys to know what's happening and then possibly go to those events. And then kind of pair that with this sort of like update.
So if someone doesn't complete the task and they fall behind, I'm assuming they're ineligible to apply again in the future. Is that stated anywhere?
It is now on the guidelines because it has just been a big issue in the past. So it's now on the guidelines on the website, on Neighborly, on the application. And of course, I have an entire list of that. So the jury will know going in this coming year too about that.
For the current grants for 2024, are we seeing a lot of grantees not fulfilling their grant?
So since we're about halfway through the grant cycle, we've had one application that was awarded, and then they told me within the week following that they could not do it due to some personal stuff going on in the organization. So I was able to very quickly actually get that money back into the arts and culture pot because it was within the fiscal year. There was another grant that emailed me regretting to inform that they didn't think that they could complete the grant. And then I did respond saying, yes, you can. Encouraging them because the situation at hand was something that I saw could be fixed. So, and sometimes people just don't know that they can get more help on certain things. Like they just needed some extra hands, kind of. So they needed that encouragement that like, hey, there's actually, ask for help and reach out to other organizations to get help too. So that's where we stand now. And then of course there are just grants that their date for their event is, just further down the cycle. So it hasn't happened yet.
They're also aware that if they don't complete it by a certain deadline, then they are ineligible to keep the money?
Everyone signed the agreement, the contract that does state that. So that is what will happen. And I, in the past, I think it's been, there hasn't really been a person like before me to kind of monitor that as much, but moving forward, when the grant cycle is up, unless they have sent a request for an extension, they will not be able to get the second half of their money. Yeah.
Or the first half? Like, I I think maybe this isn't the right time to have the discussion, but talking about what happens when they got the money, but they didn't use it, and so they just kept the thousands of dollars. What happens with that? Because
That's happened a handful of times during my time here, and it has been a combination of just totally getting ghosted, getting no response back time and time again. And it has also included folks going through some health issues. So there's lots of different things that happen. It has also included some, like one grantee I can think of who, you know, I can't do it. My project was really intended for this time period during COVID, and now that we've moved out, I don't really see it having a place here. So she gave back the first half. Yep. Gets a little complicated.
And when things like that happen and you get the money back, can then that be added to the pool of the 90,000 for the next year, so you can give an extra grants out next year? No.
Just go back into the general fund?
Yeah, not for the arts. Like, it just goes back into the city of Urbana's general pot. So, in other words, disappears. It goes down the drain. So it does, because you can't use it. Yeah.
Carried forward.
Yeah.
I feel like last time we talked about what would happen if there were leftover funds, you know, a month or two before the end of the fiscal year, and maybe having some boilerplate programs that we could fund before that end. But like a night market.
Or like item B, under discussion.
Yes, so, and I'm working on that, just like with the fiscal years lining up. Like, as of right now, they're like complete opposites to the grant cycle. So the fiscal year that's ahead is over as soon as the grant cycle's starting, which I think was not the intention. I think the intention was for it to be at the same time, making it so if someone does kind of drop out because of various reasons, the money would go directly back to the arts money pot. So that's something that I'm working on with other staff. Thanks. So I think just gathering thoughts on what we just talked about, that moving forward at the next meeting, I'll be giving updates on the grants.
Is it possible that we could come to a decision about whether we're requiring the presentation in order to get funds?
I think make the presentation optional if they can make it, but not a requirement. And
As long as we have enough material on hand that's sufficient, that we feel is satisfactory, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've found an alternative to the people who can't make it until their work ends at 5:30. So without an alternative, I don't think we can require it.
I think, and some people, you know, they try and then it's a whole nother month later that they have to wait, and you know, different work schedules, taking them in and out of town. So there's so many reasons why. But I like the idea of optional presentations, and we could maybe think about that more. But also, if there's ever any questions about grantee, like, projects that have finished up that you're interested in finding more information on, like, for instance, the one that we just had with Carrie, those videos, like those neon girls or the neons, I'm ready to listen to a whole album of that, you know. And if that's in their report, I can share that with you all. So
yeah, and I'd say if next month you wanted to play around with a report on, I guess, this month's grants that were completed, or maybe or that are ongoing. I think, however you want to present that, I think that's up to you, but.
They're going on at the same time. Why not?
Yeah. Maybe you could have closed grants and ongoing programs and just a reflection of the past month.
Maybe possibility we just restrict the agenda for one meeting to this kind of subject, and then not the next meeting.
I think that if you all want to think about whether or not a June meeting that's dedicated to like a showcase of the arts grants is worth it or not, maybe think about that, and we can maybe talk about it again or something. That it could be cool but then of course there have been some people who have already presented. My thought is that starting this change like now is going to be beneficial, just because if we were to just have it for the next cycle of grants, we still have so many grantees that are still finishing up projects. We have a lot of things to be talking about soon. There's going to be more agenda items that have to do with programs outside of the grants. So, and I really want you all to be a part of that.
So I just also think you may have to think about, if you started right now, people who have already presented, and then now the rest are told that it's an optional thing, just that dynamic of how that you would handle that. It could be a problem too. I'm not quite sure.
For this season, and
for
then
finishing
start
it out.
next,
Yeah.
in the next cycle, so that it's clean and clear, and then it doesn't look like you're being unfair to anyone.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna put up a stink about it. They have to do so much to do the reporting for us. And I think that a new year is a really good time to change over. So I think that keeping things like completely equitable at all times is one thing, and then also trying to keep things feasible with one staff person is another thing. So, and like only so much time. But because I've thought about this long and hard about whether or not, this is something that could change this year in January of 2025 versus July.
Are there grants from the last cycle that haven't been completed because they haven't done their presentation yet?
Like 2023, there are, but they have scheduled, or they have submitted an extension request.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there many or just a few?
Just a couple. Well, we're getting to 5:45. I know Lori's got to head out at some point. And if you all are ready to move on to the next discussion, it's Sarah, do you want to lead this one?
Sure. I was curious. One of the things that prompted me to consider like a high school scholarship or some sort of scholarship for kids was based on the fact that we sometimes have excess money left over that hasn't been spent that won't roll over. And so maybe there's possibilities for us to consider like a yearly art scholarship for artists that have been recognized in our area, or just a way to kind of foster art at a younger age. And so I'm not certain, I was just going to bring this up to see what you guys thought about it. It could be kind of similar to the like ACES Awards concept, where it's like you're recognizing you take nominations, and then select maybe a middle schooler, a high schooler, or even a couple, depending on funding, and they'd be recognized as like that youth artist, and would get anywhere between like $500 to some $1,000 in scholarship. It could be towards furthering their arts education or furthering supplies to continue their art. There could be a lot of different ways that we go about it. It could even be, I don't know, funding wise, but sourcing it from independent art stores like the Art Coop or things like that. But I wondered, I think after talking the last couple of meetings, there's like thousands of dollars that are not getting recycled. And so if we're able to kind of have programs on not at the back burner, but have programs like kind of what you were saying, Xander, of like that we could kind of roll out, that would be relatively quick turnaround time to be able to use the funds. I think that would be great. And I think, recognizing kid artists or youth artists, I think would go a long way.
Yeah. My thought on that is spread the wealth, so to speak. If there's a way that, if you want to focus on high school age population, if, for example, one of the schools, each high school in Urbana, their programs have something that they want to do that particular year that they don't have the funds for. Whether it be getting instruments, art supplies, a performance or something like that. A few $100s for the arts programs in each particular high school could go a long way to help all of the students, all of the youth that are in the arts programs, rather than just having one student get the art scholarship. And I don't know exactly how that could be done. I kind of have an idea of how that could be done, but there are ways that the staff and the students within these schools can work on these kinds of ideas of the needs and interests that they have, such that then the Urbana, our commission, or the Urbana Culture and Urbana Arts and Culture Program can really support these schools in ways that often, the arts programs are so underfunded that everybody needs help. So, and I'm wondering if that can be done, kind of guesstimating that there are going to be so much money left over that this is going to be used for that purpose every year. And then each particular school program can then, do like a wish list of things that they need help support for, and then that could be easily submitted to you and your office early on.
I just want to speak to just some things that are happening now. Like, for instance, 2 of the grant award winners for this past year are from US 116 schools, or USD 116 schools. The high school did a grant for their theater, the drama program, so that they had free tickets for their entire season, which was very awesome. And then Dr. Williams Elementary, one teacher applied to do basically get more supplies to do like more fiber and textile art in their classroom. So, and I did do a presentation to all USD 116 art teachers to kind of let them know arts grants, here are all the programs. So those teachers definitely can apply to the arts grants. And also, I think that when it comes to the school district, there's only one high school in Urbana. So if having several or a handful of students from the one high school could be a way of maybe spreading wealth. But when it comes to programming being funded at the school, I think that's kind of like, it gets a little bit of like toe-steppy, I would say, just because they have their own funds, and I think their funds are more needed in salary.
There is an option too. The Schools Foundation has an annual grant that a district Unit 4 can, I don't think it's for District 116, is it? It's for both, where teachers can apply. And I know I serve I'm one of several evaluators to see if we approve this program, and then it goes back into the pot and they make the final decision. But that's another option sometimes that schools or teachers don't know about, or they don't have the time to prepare the grants. But there are some nice resources in this community to help schools. It's the Schools Foundation.
CUSF.
CU Schools Foundation.
I will say too, because there's a group outside that we have about 5 minutes. I think there's another commission coming up.
What time is their meeting starting?
I think it's at 6.
Oh, okay. Go to 6:30.
Do you have data on the past 3 years of how much money that was set aside that wasn't tapped for the arts grants? Maybe having a good sense of what those funds are, we can actually determine what would be the best use of it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would be able to find that.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's like $1,000, I don't know. Maybe it's like a one person scholarship could work, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Said that all without my microphone. So that would be $1,000 for the Youth Poet Laureate program that is not being used. That could be used for another youth initiative.
So what I would like to, maybe suggest is like, what about an artist in residency program where instead of having the schools apply, it's the artists that are applying. And so then there would be some kind of like a real quick application process, but that would be open to working with community groups as well as maybe also school districts.
Do we want to continue this discussion at the next meeting?
All in favor? Because I thought maybe we were only discussing the Eric Show Award, but it sounds like we're thinking wider range.
Just really quickly, I know that 40 North said that, so they do an Eric Show with the high schools, but they don't have a current monetary award for the winners. And so I know Elsie and 40 North were curious that, we could be supplementing that. I think it would be nice for us to have our own separate program. So.
The late Dale Stephenson had set this up in honor of their son, but I didn't know how much they provided.
Yeah, I think it doesn't have any monetary awards anymore.
Well, then maybe that's one way we can help them. Well, if we need to close, then do you have anything else you want to add quickly before we call for an adjournment?
That's all I have, and I think that if there are any other agenda discussions or anything like that you want to kind of add for next month, definitely feel free to email me if you have ideas for just based on continuing our conversation and stuff like that. So you can always email me.
Since we are at this point where we have to adjourn, can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.